Alright, so welcome back everybody. So for this video, I'm going to be talking about ecosystem savanna. Now, the gameplay of this game is very simple. So I won't be explaining how to play the game with the exception of how you score points in this game. I found that scoring in this game was definitely a learning curve that some of my friends couldn't quite grasp. At least not until the end of the game. And then they talked about, well, if we knew that how to score for sure on some of these, then we would have built our ecosystem differently. So this video is to help you understand how the scoring will work in this game. And so let's get started. I'll show you guys how you score points in ecosystem savanna. Now, this is a game I checked out from the library, so that's why there is not an unboxing video for this game. So, let's first talk about the various cards in this game. We have landforms and then we have animal cards, okay? The landforms are going to be watering holes, grasslands, and trees. But then within animals, there's 3 different variations of how these animals will function, okay? So first of all, we're going to have herbivores. So these are the herbivores, the predators, and then the scavengers, okay? So let me explain each one of these one at a time, okay? So first of all, let's go to this player aid here for the scorecard. So you'll notice that we have all of the different types of things that can score you points, okay? Animals and landforms. And you'll notice that they are in a particular order. You'll notice that, for instance, gazelles and zebras and giraffes will score before you score cheetahs and lions. And you'll also notice that you score elephants after you score cheetahs and lions. So why is that, you're probably wondering. So that's why I made this video. We're going to explain the reason for that, and we have a perfect little example of how things will score here. So first, let's score watering holes. So how do watering holes score you points? Well, let's go to this handy little player aid. So you'll notice that for the watering hole, that you'll get 2 points for each unique adjacent animal, okay? So where's our watering hole? It's right here, and it's right here. You'll notice that on this watering hole, we have an elephant, a gazelle, and a cheetah adjacent to it. So this watering hole would score me 6 points. You'll notice that this watering hole has 2 cheetahs, a giraffe, and a gazelle. Now, these 2 are the same species, so they count. They're just going to give me 2 points in total, but then I would still get 2 points for the giraffe and 2 points for that gazelle, so this watering hole will give me 6 points as well. So let's just go ahead and write that down, okay? So I'm going to get 12 points for my watering holes, okay? And we will probably just show you guys. See, 12 points. Okay, so grasslands score next. So let's explain grasslands. So, for instance, if you just have one grassland, then it's going to give you 1 victory point. But for each of your connected grasslands, okay, you're going to score a certain amount of points. Now, if you have 4 grasslands connected, that's 16 points. How many grasslands do I have connected? 1, 2, 3. I've got 3. So that's going to score me 9 victory points. So let's go ahead and write that down. 9 victory points. Okay, so that's 2 down. Let's do trees. How do trees score you points? Well, trees score you points, 2 points for each tree you have in each row and column containing at least 1 tree. So I only have 1 tree, unfortunately, so I'm not going to score any points except for 2, because I've only got 1. But if I had, let's say, a tree here, and a tree here, and a tree here, then you would look at the rows, and you would see that there would be 3 trees, because there'd be 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, for instance. So you would get 3 points for the rows on trees, or you'd get 6 points for the rows on trees, sorry. And then you would count columns. And so if there was 1 here, 1 here, and here, well, there's 2 trees in this column if we had that equation, right? Then that would still give me only 2 points, but I get 2 more points if there was a tree in this column. And then So I would get 2 points, and then if I had one here, that'd be 4. If I had one here, that would be 6 for the rows, and then you do columns, nothing there, 1 here, so that's 8 points. And then this one would be 10 points, but then since if there was a tree here, there'd still be 10 points, and then no more points. But I only have one tree for this demonstration, unfortunately. There's just not enough room for everything. And I figured it would be easy to explain trees anyway. So I just get 2 points. Let's move on. Let's move on to the animals. Okay, so we have the gazelles. They just score you 2 points. But if you're playing, but you're obviously going to be playing with other players. So then at this point in time, each player is going to count up how many gazelles they have, and the player who has the most gazelles is going to score an additional 5 points, okay? And then if there's multiple people playing, more than 2, then the second player will score 2 points. If there's a tie for first place, they will each score the 5 points, but the next player in line won't get the 2 points because the first 2 players tied for first. So that's how that's going to work. But you'll still get 2 points for each of the gazelles you have, even if you don't have the most. So let's just say somebody else has more gazelles than I do. So I get 2, 4, 6, 8 points. I wouldn't get the 10. I wouldn't get the additional 5 because let's just say somebody else had more points than me, more gazelles than I did. So there we go, 8 points for the gazelles. Okay, so zebras are next. So the way zebras are going to score points, they're going to score you 3 points for each adjacent grassland. Okay, well, this zebra here, it's adjacent to this grassland and this grassland. So that means that this zebra is worth 6 victory points for me. That means if I had a grassland here and here, then it would be 3, 6, 9, 12. That's a lot of points for one zebra, potentially, right? But yes, I'm still going to get 6 points for my zebra. And if I had other zebras and they were, again, next to at least one grassland, I would score some more points. But I don't. I just have one zebra. So, 6 points. Okay, how do giraffes score? Well, giraffes are going to give you 5 points if they're adjacent to at least one tree. So if they're adjacent to more than one tree, you still only score 5 points. And you'll notice that this giraffe is adjacent to this tree, and this giraffe is also adjacent to this tree. They can be adjacent to the same tree. So then both of these giraffes would score me 10 points. I mean, together. So 5 each, 10 points. Nice. So that's how giraffes score. Now we get into the nitty-gritty, something that's a little confusing. Because as you play the game, you'll notice that these will flip animals, these two here. And some people thought they would flip them before scoring actually happens. But that's not the case. You're supposed to score them in a particular order. And you don't do the flipping until you score points, until you do the scoring. So let's explain first the cheetah. So the cheetah here gives you 3 points for each gazelle in the same diagonal. And then you'll flip all scoring gazelles. So what does that mean? Well, your gazelles, they already scored your points, and that's great. But now, the cheetahs, they're going to score you 3 points for each gazelle that's in the same diagonal. So, for instance, this cheetah has a gazelle in the same diagonal over here, for instance. This cheetah has 2 gazelles in its diagonal. You'll notice that this gazelle here is not in the same diagonal line as this cheetah, right? And you'll notice neither is this cheetah. It's not in the same diagonal as this gazelle. So this cheetah can't score nor flip this gazelle. Same thing with that one, because it's not in the same diagonal line. But this one and this one is. So this cheetah will score me 6 points, okay? And this cheetah, even though there's no animals here, there's no gazelles here, but there's one here, it's still sharing the same diagonal line. So this cheetah will score me 3 points. So I'm not only going to score 9 points for my cheetahs, okay, but I'm also now going to flip them. They don't get flipped until after you score the points. Hence why you would score the gazelles beforehand, for instance. Okay, so that's how that's going to work. Okay, so that's how the cheetahs are going to score. They're going to score you the points first, and then they're going to flip the gazelles that scored them points, okay? So now these gazelles have been flipped, all right? And flipping will make sense when we start talking about hyenas and vultures. But first, we have this lion here. It says, if it's adjacent to a grassland, you score 4 points. And then you can flip one gazelle/zebra anywhere you want. So, let's see where we have our lion. We have one lion, and it is adjacent to a grassland. So my lion will score me 4 points. So that's nice. But you'll notice that now it has the ability to flip, like I mentioned, a gazelle or a zebra anywhere I have one. So if I wanted to, I could flip that gazelle, or if I wanted to, I could flip this zebra. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to flip this zebra here, okay? So that's how that's going to work. And that will make some sense when we get to the vulture and the hyena. So that's how the lion is going to work. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room. So the elephant is going to score you 6 points for each elephant you have. But then it's going to be minus 2 points for each adjacent animal except other elephants. Well, you'll notice, originally, this elephant here was again next to 2 gazelles. And so if these gazelles hadn't been flipped by this cheetah earlier, which, that's why the cheetah scores before the elephants do, and that's why the lion scores before the elephants score. But if they hadn't done that, then this elephant here would have only given me 2 points because it was next to 2 animals. But thanks to the cheetah, this elephant here still scores me 6 points because now there's no animals next to it. And the other elephant doesn't count either. And then, of course, this elephant over here still scores me 6 points. So the elephants score me 12 points this time. Like so. Now let's talk about the hyenas. So the hyenas are going to score 3 points for each flipped card within 2 spaces. So the flipped cards, these are the flipped cards. So within 2 spaces. Okay, so let's see here. This flipped card is within 2 spaces. You'll notice this flipped card is within 2 spaces. If you go up and across, you'll notice that this flipped card is within 2 spaces. But this card over here is not within 2 spaces. It's 3 spaces away. So I'm not going to score points for this flipped card for this hyena. And I've only got 1 hyena here. So I would score 3, 6, 9 points. So that's how I would score the hyenas. 9 points. Okay, the vulture. Let's do that. So vultures, they will score you 4 points for each flipped card lower in the same column. So, hey, we've got 2 cards that are lower in the same column as this vulture here. So that would give me 8 points. And that was nice, too, because not only did the cheetah give me a flipped card here earlier, but I decided to use the lion to flip this zebra and not that gazelle because I knew it would help me score more points for that vulture. And so that was the whole point of flipping the zebra with the lion earlier. But yeah, I'm going to get 8 points for my vulture. So if I had more vultures and they had flipped cards underneath them, I would score even more points than that, potentially. But that's basically how you're going to play the game for scoring purposes. And that's obviously the player who has the most points will be the winner of the game. But hopefully this makes sense on scoring and how flipping cards works and all that. Hopefully it helps. Thank you guys for watching this how to play-ish video. Scoring anyways video. And I'll see you guys again next time. Have a nice day.